on the right of me, I have my colleague here, Dallas, who is our Global Internships Manager at Intern Abroad HQ, and she'll be covering off some of the internship questions that you guys have put forward already. And then to the right of her is Kayla, our Volunteer Program Manager from International Volunteer HQ, and she'll be covering off our volunteer topics. So we're covering off about 4 sort of main topics in this webinar, and this has come through from a lot of you guys as you've registered and just general questions that we've had. So firstly, why volunteer or intern abroad during your gap year? And then how you can choose the right program based on what it is that you're looking for, the differences between IVHQ and Intern Abroad HQ, and then we'll be providing some practical tips and FAQs at the end with hopefully enough time to answer some of your Q&As. So, what exactly is a gap year and why should you volunteer or intern abroad during your gap year? So a lot of people take a bit of time off after high school, between high school and university, or potentially after university before they get into their full-time careers. And it's really a time for you to discover yourself, what it is that you want to do with your life. Do you want to, gain a bit more experience? Are you looking to give back to the world? There's a few different reasons that people choose to do gap years. And from our community, we found that it kind of covers one of 4, or a combination of these 4 things, which is to grow as a person, to give back to the community, to get some life experience, and to find a sense of purpose. So, if you've been feeling any of those things, this is definitely the right place for you to be. So how do you choose the right program? Well, it depends on what it is that you're looking for. So, do you have a set time limit that you want to take off before you start something? We've got flexible dates and durations available. We have affordable options available. Projects start from $20 a day. You can choose to volunteer in tons of destinations around the world. If you're looking to get ahead in either your studies or in your career, we have academic credit and internship options, which Dallas will talk to shortly. We also provide great support before, after, and during your placements and your programs. And we have a very personalized service. So it's not just you pick a program and that's the end of it, which I think our team will get into a bit more in a bit. So we're going to kick off with volunteering abroad, and I'm going to let Kayla get into the details of that one.
Hi, everybody. We're really excited to have you here today. I'm Kayla. I'm one of the program managers here at IVHQ. And today I'm going to highlight some of our top destinations that are suitable for gap year experiences. Now, these 3 options that we're presenting today, they're not the only options available to you. At IVHQ, we have over 50 destinations worldwide, so no matter what you're looking for, we have a suitable option. And if you want to give us a call or shoot us an email, one of our travel experts can talk you through the options, talk through what you're looking to get out of the experience, where you might want to travel, so definitely get in touch. But the 3 destinations I'm going to touch on are Cusco, Peru, Zambia, and Costa Rica. And there's a few reasons why I want to touch on those specifically. The first being these destinations can facilitate longer durations in terms of programming. So if you have, during your gap year, a number of months that you want to be away and traveling, these programs can facilitate longer term durations. The local teams in these destinations are also so incredible. They are super supportive and, in my experience, are always willing to go the extra mile to support volunteers in having a really positive experience on the program. In each of these destinations as well, there is a wide range of project options you can choose from. So if you want to do something working with children or teaching, there's also conservation projects, construction projects, so medical placements as well. So lots of options in terms of, flexibility there. These programs can also facilitate split projects. So if you want to do, say, 4 weeks on childcare and then 4 weeks on construction and do those projects back to back, these teams are incredibly flexible and can make that happen. And the other cool thing about these particular destinations is we have a wide range of what we call add-ons here in our office. And those are tours and experiences that you can add to your itinerary, because with volunteering, you're essentially volunteering Monday through Friday in most cases for half a day. So you have the rest of that time to really experience the local culture, have that, cultural immersion experience through something like a safari, or in Cusco, going to visit Machu Picchu or Rainbow Mountain, things like that. So we can customize your experience to not only include that impactful volunteering opportunity, but also the cultural immersion side of things.
So one of our volunteers recently actually did 2 of our programs for his gap year, and he shared his experience with us. He sent through some amazing photos. We've also shared this and a few other examples on our social channels, but he's kind enough to send us a short little video talking about his own experience so you can hear directly from him.
Hi, I'm Danny, and I just completed 4 months volunteering as a teacher in Arusha, Tanzania. My time in the school there was absolutely amazing. The kids were a joy to teach. They were just so eager to learn, and they're just so grateful to be there every single day. But I also feel that they just taught me more than I could ever actually teach them. The best part about volunteering in Arusha is the sheer amount of volunteers there. Being there for 4 months, I met so many wonderful people, but with that also meant that I had to say so many hard goodbyes. But that's what comes with being there for so long. And when it was finally my turn to leave, it was heartbreaking. The longer I was in Arusha, the more comfortable and familiar I got with everything, and soon I was discovering my favorite restaurants and locations, including Garamtoni Crater, where the view of the sunrise was breathtaking. I spent much of my gap year volunteering with IVHQ, first doing 6 weeks of animal conservation in Kruger in South Africa, and then moving on to my 4 months teaching in Tanzania. And I cannot stress enough how much you should go out and do some international volunteering. It is the best experience you will ever get. This year was incredible.
So,
Hi, I'm Danny, and I just completed
that was,
4 months volunteering as a
like, more than anything I could tell you about volunteering and how much of an impact it can make during your gap year. We've also got Tanika here, who went to the Women's Education Program in Nepal. And, we get a lot of solo female travelers especially, and, worried about safety or going on their own. And the one thing that is consistent across all of our volunteers when they get back is they might arrive alone, but they always return with this whole wide network of family, from the local team and the locals who they've met on their volunteer journeys to the other international volunteers from all around the world. So, definitely don't hesitate to do an experience like this for your gap year. So I think we'll move on to our internships. Oh, wait.
Not yet.
I'm jumping ahead. I thought we'd talk about the fees later. Okay, so Kayla, I'm going to let you cover the fees, actually.
Yeah, sure. So at IVHQ, we have 2 fees associated with our programs. We have a registration fee and a program fee, and these cover your program services from pre-departure through until you get to the program and complete that program on the ground. So the first fee that we have is the registration fee, and that fee is really important. It secures your spot on the program. So for the start date you've applied for, the project and the destination, as soon as we receive that, our local team gets a notification and they start planning for you once that's processed. It also continues that experience that you have one-on-one with your program manager for that destination. That individual is an expert in the destination you're traveling to, and in many cases, they've traveled to the program themselves, so they can speak firsthand to what the program is like, what you can expect as a volunteer. It also grants you access to some of our travel partners. We have exclusive partnerships with a flights provider and an insurance provider, so as soon as you're registered, you can start looking into those options, and they'll be more than happy to help you with that. And then it also grants you access to what we call our My IVHQ profile, and that's essentially a portal with a bunch of information that we've put together to really help you in that pre-departure experience, help you to manage your expectations in terms of what you're walking into, because in most cases it's going to be a very different experience to what you're used to at home. So As an example, we've put together a program guide that really outlines things like specific arrival instructions in terms of where you meet your local team when you arrive, helping you with the visa process if you have to apply for a visa. Just little details like what to expect in terms of the types of plugs that they have in certain countries, what the money situation is. So things like that to really aid in your pre-departure experience. And then it also grants you the ability to start securing those add-ons and booking those tours and activities for your time on the program. And then we have the program fee, and that fee goes directly to our local team. So it has a direct impact on the local economy. And that fee covers everything that you experience in terms of services on the ground. So your accommodation, your meals, your airport pickup, the orientation. So you receive both a program orientation that's an overview of what to expect in terms of local culture, customs, safety, and then a specific placement orientation for the project that you've applied for. And then obviously the 24/7 support that our local team is able to provide on the ground. So if you need anything, they are your go-to, and it's just a matter of reaching out to them and they'll be happy to support you.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Kayla.
No problem.
So now we will kick off with interning with Intern Abroad HQ. So I'll let Dallas sort of cover how that can work for your gap year.
Thank you, Anne Shirley, and welcome everyone. Intern Abroad HQ operates as a division of International Volunteer HQ. So that's why we share information, because different people with different motivations and values might be looking for different kinds of experiences. So with the internships abroad, there are a lot of similarities with the IVHQ programs, which Kayla's discussed. Some of the differences are that the opportunities are a little bit more vocational and designed to be more in line with what your study field or your career ambitions might be. So people that are specifically looking to build their resume, maybe fulfill graduation requirements or experiential learning requirements, or even get academic credit, they're typically drawn to these types of internship programs. They do provide a lot of personal and professional development outside of what your studies might be, and that's why we really want to highlight them for the gap year experiences too. It is possible to do remote internships. So these are all done completely online, which means you can save the cost and the logistics associated with any international travel. So if you're planning a gap year, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be traveling internationally the whole time. You can still build on your personal and professional development, but just choose an online remote internship program instead. So we want to make sure people are aware that that's a possibility, and it could be part of a broader itinerary that you're planning. We've included an example here. We work with interns that come from all around the world, and sometimes they do consecutive internship programs. So this is an example of a student that spent time in South Africa, in Cape Town, doing a psychology internship before progressing and doing another psychology internship in Athens, Greece. And from his perspective, it was a really important way for him to build upon his independence, get a little bit more confident with the practical aspects of the psychology work that he was studying academically. So we've got amazing resources on our website to help people get more particular insight into what the internships are about through looking at all of our guest blogs, which our interns contribute, as well as the reviews. The fee structure that Kayla just explained to everyone is super similar to the way it works for the internship programs. To start, you have to cover the first installment, which is a portion of the total program fee. So you pay a deposit, and that means that you can secure your participation on the internship of your choice. It doesn't matter if it's a remote internship or an abroad internship, which you would travel for. You still need to cover the deposit payment, which serves as the first installment of that program fee, and the secondary payment to cover the remaining balance of that program fee. That covers a range of different services that are going to be associated with the trip. Similar to what Kayla was saying, services like accommodation, airport pickup, orientation, It's a little bit different if you are doing a remote internship, obviously, but there's still experiential learning curriculum in place. There's still the opportunity to be supported to gain academic credit. So that's all quite comprehensively included. And here, talking about the remote internships, you can see a little bit of a tiered breakdown. People choose their remote internship participation by selecting the number of hours that they want to contribute. So up to 100 hours is quite popular, doing that part-time over about 5 weeks, or up to 250 or 350 hours. And the reason why we break it out into hours is because it gives you a lot of flexibility to plan your schedule and how you want to allocate those hours if you're planning around other family or sport or work commitments. There's a lot of flexibility there for you.
So, which option is best for you? Why are you here in the first place, right? I think the simplest way to sort of talk about this is, are you looking to do something for others, or are you looking to sort of do something more for yourself? So with volunteering, you're giving your time to a cause that you care about. It's an opportunity to contribute to different local communities around the world. It is more flexible and it's a little less formal, and it really depends on, what you want to put out and give into the world. With interning, it's definitely a little bit more for yourself. It's about you gaining that experience, learning a bit more about your chosen career field, or maybe exploring a career field that's similar that you're, thinking about. But that one is more for you than for other people. I mean, you can in some internships, work with NGOs and help other people as well. So you could get a bit of both, but the primary objective is to sort of get yourself ahead with those. Depending on which one you want to go for, you could also talk to both of our teams and sort of, talk about the things that you're interested in, and they'll be happy to sort of discuss the options, because as Stella said, we do work quite closely with each other. So there's some practical tips and, again, some sort of questions that have come through quite frequently. So we thought we'd just cover this before heading into the Q&As. One of the main ones that comes through is how to stay safe. Safety, is a big concern for a lot of people, but I think that's the beauty of volunteering with IVHQ or interning with Intern Abroad HQ is you do get that 24/7 support. You have, the pre-departure support. We answer all your questions, any concerns you might have. You have the local team on the ground. They're there to, tell you about what you should and shouldn't do if you don't know about the culture there, or, guide you into great places you can go to experience the culture without putting yourself in a dangerous situation. So, and they're always there, to just answer any questions and make sure that you feel safe. You won't be alone. Is there anything else you think we need to cover with safety?
I mean, I'd just say the program orientation is a really great opportunity for that exchange of information, and the local team will go over in detail, parts of town that are better to visit versus parts that maybe aren't so much. And I mean, that could be said about any place that you visit in the world. So, they have volunteers and interns' best interests at heart, and safety is of the utmost importance. So really following their guidance and instructions when it comes to that orientation is really critical.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I would also say that health and safety is a really, really broad topic. Mm-hmm. And sometimes someone might say, is it safe? But we have no idea what their particular concern might be. So if there's a specific health and safety concern that you have that could be preventing you from taking the first step and even submitting an application in the first place, just let us know what that might be. And that way we can talk through that more specifically with you and just address any questions that you have.
And again, just to reiterate, like over 70% of our volunteers travel solo. So, solo travel is definitely something that people, are worried about when it comes to safety, and you can be secure in coming with either one of our organizations. Yeah. When it comes to securing cheap flights, so obviously that's sort of a hot topic at the moment, right? Flights are fluctuating. We don't have any control over what the flight prices might be, but, some general tips and tricks with that would be, as much advance warning as you can. If you know that there's something that you want to do this gap year, you want to do it in the next few months, you want to do it next year potentially, and you're starting to plan now, this is the time to sort of really look into that and secure those cheap flights. The closer you get to the date, You might get lucky with like a discounted flight, but it's very rare, especially in like the current climate. So I think the biggest sort of advice with that is plan in advance, get as much like notice as you can. We've also written a blog about other ways, you know, that you can secure cheap flights for specific days or times of months to travel. All of those things play a factor. So I think I'd recommend having a look at the blog for some really great tips. Budgeting. So obviously, huge thing at the moment, you know, cost of living, everything is up and about at the moment, but you still want to live life. You still want to be able to experience these things. And budgeting, I think, would cover a few different factors. So obviously, like, you know, our program fees, and you can start from as little as, I think, $17 a day is one of our cheaper programs. But it's not just the program fee, you know, the destinations you choose, the cost of living there, you know, how affordable it is for transport and food, all of those things would, you know, come into play. So if you're on a tight budget, we'd recommend, you know, looking into those options. And of course, our team can, you know, help recommend some that suit within your budget there. So definitely come through and have a chat to either one of the teams, depending on what it is that you're looking for, whether it's volunteering or interning. And then fundraising. So we do have some links and some suggestions about ways that people fundraise. Sometimes they set up a Fund My Travel account and, you know, share that link and get people to donate to, the volunteer program or the cause that they're doing. Is any other tips that you see regularly from volunteers or?
I mean, the one thing on the IVHQ side of things is we, in the program guide and on our website, we're very transparent about the fees and what volunteers need to budget for, or what the recommended budget on a weekly basis is. So when it comes to budgeting and fundraising, we can essentially, if they let us know everything they want to do, we can let them know exactly what that's going to cost. So we can provide guidance in that sense, and then say, hey, you want to do these things? This is what I'd recommend in terms of a weekly budget. Obviously, it's going to depend on your personal spending habits, but we can definitely provide guidance in that regard.
Mm-hmm. And obviously the final tip, booking in advance where possible, which, you know, I've already covered, but definitely want to reiterate that. And I think there's another key difference to highlight with volunteering and interning. You know, if you want to go in the next couple of weeks, volunteering is the best option. We can sort of turn that around relatively quickly. There's still availability for this summer, for example. You know, that is an option. With interning, Dallas, you do need a little bit more lead time, don't you?
Yeah, we do ask that people plan internships at least 2 months in advance. We are working with people at the moment now that we are sneaking in for summer dates if we can. We've got a bit of wiggle room to make it work. If you're watching and you want to do something immediately, if not sooner, contact Kayla's team, because they're going to be your best bet for helping make something work, especially if you've got your eye on flights and you think you can lock something in. Just message IVHQ.
Yeah,
if it's internships, we're already working with people that are planning for 2024. They're being clever because they're also looking at how they can budget in advance. And if you're currently a student and you haven't already done so, make sure you have a chat to the advisors, maybe in the study abroad office or international education office or career center, because often they have so many resources available for students that you might not know about. There could be grants, there could be financial aid options or different scholarships available. And our team, we have an amazing campus support staff as well that's available to work with the universities and work with students, and that can have a major part to play when you're working out your budget, your finances, things like that.
The other thing we can do at IVHQ, and I'm sure interns can facilitate this as well, is we can provide what we call a verification letter. And once you're registered, that's something we send volunteers who are looking to get sponsorship or do some fundraising through local businesses or family and friends that might want to contribute. So that letter basically breaks down all the fees you have to pay and where they're allocated. And it's super easy to just hand that over to a local business and say, look, I'm volunteering abroad. I'm looking to make an impact internationally. Are you able to spare some change and contribute to my initiative? So that is something that's really popular with volunteers. So if that is something you need, just let your program manager know and they'll be able to provide it.
Awesome. Thank you both so much. I think you've covered each of the areas very well. So obviously the big question now, how to apply. And I think the application process is quite similar, but I'll let the team talk about that.
Cool. I'll start with IVHQ. It's a really simple, straightforward process. You just have to go to our website and click apply. And basically that takes you to a portal where you create a user profile and you can submit applications until further notice. So we have, first-time travelers. We also have volunteers who have returned and are submitting their 14th application for a program. So it's really exciting to see returning volunteers, but the process is really quick, takes no more than 5 to 10 minutes. I'd say the biggest thing we would encourage volunteers to do is include as much information in that application as possible as it relates to the project that you've applied for. So as an example, if you apply for medical work, we need to know what your skills and experience and education are in that field to determine whether or not you're suitable for the project that you've applied for. For the most part, our projects don't have any serious requirements in terms of skills and experience, but exceptions for things like medical work obviously are there. But as much information as you can provide, that gets submitted to our team of program managers here, and typically we process those applications within 24 hours, maybe a little bit longer over the weekend, but we aim to get back to you as soon as possible so that you can start that planning process. But the application itself, no more than 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah, I would reiterate what Kayla said. Please apply. We just consider them to be like an expression, a formal expression of interest, because some people might be put off submitting an application because they think it might be super competitive or quite a cumbersome process, and it's not. It's just getting that formal expression of interest in the door so we can get back to you quickly and then outline what the next steps are for confirming your participation.
Awesome. So I think that just leaves us with the Q&A. So we've got a few minutes. We've had a few questions that have come through. So I'm going to ask them on your behalf, and either Kayla or Dallas will answer. So we've got a question asking, can you extend your volunteer placement once you're there?
Yes, you can. So that's actually something a lot of volunteers tend to do because they realize how much they love the experience and the people they're meeting and the community. So that's just really a matter of touching base with the local team and saying, hey, I want to stay for an extra 2, 3, 4, etc. weeks. And you basically just pay them the difference in terms of your program fee. You can swap to a different project if you want to. The teams are really flexible. So yeah, it's just a conversation with them.
Easy. Dallas, this one's for you. If I did a tourism diploma and didn't take a gap year, but I'm interested in the travel industry now, is it still a possibility for me to do an internship?
Yeah, absolutely. If you've got relevant experience in the field that you want to do the internship in, then you can proceed. We work with a lot of current students, but you don't have to be studying at the time you do the internship. We work with recent graduates as well, maybe recent graduates that have graduated within perhaps 2 years. So they're still in that period where they're trying to gain more professional experience and build their resume, travel, see the world, get these great networks. If you have, if you've been graduated within the field for quite some time, in some cases, you might find that a volunteer experience is better suited because you might not need those introductory career building experiences that the internships offer. But if you're unsure, just submit an application or call us or email us and we can speak to people specifically about what they have in mind.
Awesome. So another couple of questions, so I'll just sort of sum it up into one. Will it cover the entire year? So I think people are trying to find out, is it one program that's the entire year duration? Is it made up of a few different, maybe we can talk about the flexibility, maybe a combination of the two?
Yeah, sure. So in terms of IVHQ, we can work to be flexible to your needs and your availability and your budget. So the maximum duration on any one program that we offer would be 24 weeks, and that's just simply due to visa restrictions. But what we see a lot of volunteers doing on gap years is doing programs, so destinations back to back to fill up that year. So maybe switching between continents or even doing split projects in one destination before shifting to another one. So we are definitely flexible to your availability and can make anything work. I think not long ago we had somebody apply for 2 full years of back-to-back programming, which we're really excited to see across several different locations, obviously, and continents. So yeah, you just have to talk to your program manager or a member of our inquiries team, and we can figure out a schedule that suits you.
Amazing. And for internships, is there sort of that flexibility as well? Or?
I would say the same. We encourage people to consider diversifying their experience. So they might, for example, like Kayla said, do 3 months in one destination and then 3 months in another destination, because then you're going to build up so much more life experience as well by spending time in different countries with different cultural immersion opportunities. It might be worth pointing out that we can give you all of the information that you'll need concerning the travel logistics, the visa logistics, but we aren't directly responsible for obtaining visas if you need them. So that's something that would need to be part of your independent planning for the program, just like booking flights and getting your travel insurance.
Awesome. So we've kind of touched on it, but maybe you could just clarify, is visa and traveling sponsorships available?
So we aren't able to sponsor individuals, but like I mentioned before with the verification letter, we can provide you with that literature to share with people back home in hopes that you can get some fundraising going and some sponsorship. But no, IVHQ cannot sponsor individuals. And I mean, that's just simply due to the sheer number of volunteers that we work with on a regular basis. What was the first part of the question, sorry?
Just visas.
Visas, yeah. So we aren't able to apply for visas on behalf of volunteers. But as Dallas mentioned, in your program guide, we provide specific visa application instructions. Those instructions are kind of dependent on your nationality, where you're traveling from, what kind of passport you're traveling on. So we still encourage you to check with the embassy of the country that you're traveling to, but we will provide as much guidance as we can. The other thing most of our local teams can provide is an invitation letter. So if you do have to pre-arrange a visa, or there's a specific type of visa that needs an invitation letter supporting it, our team can provide that once you're registered for the program.
Awesome, easy as. So another question is around availability of human rights work or various NGO work. So I know we have a few volunteer projects that cover that. I believe, do we have some internships that also work in those fields? Human rights or NGOs?
Yeah, absolutely. That's actually some of the most popular internships is in fields related to law, human rights, NGO support. So we've got lots of programs for internships, but I know that IVHQ also has some similar projects related to NGO support. Less so, I would say, the law programs. Yeah. But when we talk about human rights, that's also, that could be related to many different things. And there's really great education programs with IVHQ, women's education or youth development, that are available on both platforms. So those are super popular.
Amazing. Another couple of questions we get is around age limits. So, this webinar is currently covering gap years, can range from 16, 17-year-olds to early 20s, but there is no age limit to volunteering. Kayla, do you want to talk about some of our older volunteers potentially?
Yeah, especially since COVID, we've seen a huge increase in more mature volunteers, like doing sabbaticals, or even after they've retired, deciding to do like a year or two abroad. So we have some, our minimum age requirement is 3. For obvious reasons. But in terms of a maximum, there's really no limit. I mean, just the other day, I processed an application for an 85-year-old woman, and that was awesome to see. We have one volunteer in particular. I won't say his name to protect his privacy, but we all know who I'm talking about. He is an absolute IVHQ legend, and he turns 80 this year, and he's on to his 6th program. So yeah, it's amazing to see the diversity of ages. Yes, the large majority is between, say, 18 and 30, but that older demographic is definitely growing.
Okay, so we have time for one final question, and the one that I've got here is somebody asking, obviously, do they get to choose where they go, which we've covered. You absolutely can. You have over 300 projects and 50 plus destinations to choose from, but they'd like to know if their husband and they could be placed together, and is that an option? How easy is that?
It's definitely an option with volunteering. Some locations have private room upgrades that you can arrange. Others just put couples, families into separate housing altogether. So yeah, it's definitely possible. It's even possible to join 2 different projects and still be accommodated in the same home. So yeah, there's lots of flexibility there, and we see a ton of, groups of friends and families traveling together and couples and whatnot. So whatever the needs are of your group, big or small, we can definitely facilitate something.
Amazing. So I think that sort of covers us for today. If you have any extra questions, if you want to talk directly to the team, please send us an email, get in touch with us. The contact information on both IVHQ and Intern Abroad HQ websites are very clear on the best ways you can get in touch. And the team will definitely be happy to set up a call or just respond to your email, whatever communication method you choose. So thank you so much, Kayla and Dallas, for joining us today. I hope you guys got what you needed out of this, and thank you all for joining us online.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.